One of my biggest issues with Madden 26 is ROBO QB, and it's a legacy issue where basically the CPU rarely ever misses passes, completing usually 80-90%, but they also just have unrealistic processing speed. One thing I wanted to achieve with this slider set is, number one, making sure the CPU quarterbacks have to actually scan the field before making their decision, and every now and again we hope to see the errant pass from CPU quarterbacks. Usually the best way to combat ROBO QB is to lower the CPU quarterback accuracy slider. However, going too far with that will cause the CPU quarterbacks to become extremely passive and rely too much on the check down. I'm happy to report we've been able to find a happy medium where, yes, the CPU will still take what's given to them, but they are not afraid to be aggressive and push the ball down the field. The run game for both Madden 26 and College Football 26 for both the user and the CPU has been an absolute disaster, and it still is for College Football 26. However, I'm happy to report that in Madden, and this is no credit to myself, the devs have done a very good job at pretty much fixing the CPU running back pathing. Pathing means the way that the CPU runs. In the past, the CPU would take awkward and odd angles on their runs. Now they're much more aggressive, getting upfield and run with a purpose to gain yards, which greatly helps to reduce tackles for loss, which were killing way too many CPU drives before the patch. On the other hand, for the user, this is an extreme legacy issue, probably dating back 5 or 6 years. It's just been too easy for the user to abuse the run game. Runs up the middle are a guaranteed 10 yards for the majority of this year, but with the recent patch, it's been a little bit better, and I'm extremely happy to report that the changes that I've made with this slider set helps in that area even more. Inside zones and read option runs are still very strong, but if you mix up your runs and call the run game in the way that a real offensive coordinator would, you'll see that the CPU can hold their own just fine. If you like what you see, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more, especially if you're interested in modded Madden 26 content. We'll spend the rest of this video going through all the settings that you need to get ready for your Madden 26 franchise. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the sliders. What is up, guys? It's your boy Shady Mike. I've been going for a minute, but I'm back, and I wanted to bring you guys a really good, really fun slider set for Madden 26. Shout out to my console players. You guys know me, I normally play on PC with mods, so I don't really need sliders, but found myself in a situation where I've been playing the game on PlayStation because I've been gaming through remote play because I haven't been at my normal setup. So while I was doing that, I came up with a slider set that I'm really excited to share with you guys and plays really well. But I do gotta say, I can't take all the credit for the sliders, so I'm not gonna lie, half of the stuff that has been improved, the developers improved it with patches. They've made a lot of patches that make this gameplay a lot better, and it just made the sliders that I was already working on that much better. So let's go through the settings. We'll go one by one through all of the settings, and I want to show you guys what I've been using. So I am here in the main menu. You can do this in franchise mode. You can do it in the main menu, then import them. It is what it is. The reason I like to show you guys in the main menu is because there is one setting here that has to be changed in the main menu. So we're going to be playing on all Madden simulation. I know some people like some other stuff. Some people like competitive, all pro. For me, I use all Madden just because that is the difficulty that gives me the best challenge. I really don't find all pro slider sets very difficult, so do keep that in mind. For the quarter length, I like 13 minutes quarters with 15-second runoffs. That gives me that NFL average plays that we're looking for. I've been using it for a few years now. It actually, you know, is really good. For the coin toss, I do kick and against win. That is the 50-50 option, so sometimes you'll get the ball first, sometimes you won't, just like a normal NFL game. A lot of this stuff going down is going to be default. I do use placement passing. I know some people use classic. I know some people use revamped. Do keep in mind, if you do use a different passing style than me, you may need to make some changes to the sliders themselves. But other than that, these are the rest of my settings. I've got almost all of the gameplay helpers on. The heat seeker window, I've got a 200. A lot of people don't know that can go over that default 100. I've got the switch stick off so I don't hit it by accident and switch players. Defensive switch assist is on, and that's pretty much everything else there. I've got injuries at 10. It is pretty low. Feel free to raise it if you want to see a little bit more injuries. Fatigue, I do have the default, same thing, raise that up. If you want to see, like, you know, maybe a little bit more player rotation. Speed parity, I got to shout out a gentleman on Twitter named Mills. I've been using 90 threshold. You guys know I've been a high threshold guy for a while. Oh my gosh, this gameplay is incredible. It really holds this game together. 90 threshold, guys. If do not knock it until you try it. I've been telling you guys for years now, the lower you put the speed parity or speed threshold, speed parity, I know they've been changing the name over the years, but the lower you put that slider, the more the game tends to break. This slider at 90, and trust me, I know the number one thing people say is, oh, it's going to make speed not matter. That is not what this slider does. I think there's a big misconception in the community as far as what this slider actually does. Number one, it makes the gameplay so freaking smooth. It's incredible. But also it makes ratings like change of direction, agility, and acceleration shine so much more. You're still going to have your big plays. I had huge kick returns. Guys are going to get out and be able to use their speed. It's phenomenal. So I got to shout out Mills for that suggestion. I'm at 90, and I think I'm going to be staying there for the rest of this year. Physics-based tackling, guys, I've got at 10. I'm really like this at 10. I felt with it higher. There were some guys falling forward on certain runs that I really felt like they shouldn't be. I feel like this option here really helps the defense play aggressive and play downhill on some of those tackles. Get some really nice animations, some really nice aggressive tackles. Loving that at 10 so far.
Throwing now is Mahomes. Swings this out for home.
All the precipitation stuff, I've got it default, haven't changed that. Wear and tear, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of the wear and tear system, so you can just decide to turn that off, or if you want to keep it on and just have a semblance of this system, you can put all the recovery stuff at 100. Because on default, it's just like, man, you can get into a fourth quarter if you've been running it a lot with the running back, he can be like a minus 12 speed, so I don't really love that. I think a lot of this stuff is pretty much default. I haven't changed anything. Penalties here, let's go through the penalties really quickly. I know there are a lot of conversations about penalties impacting gameplay, and I believe that they do. However, these penalties are actually balanced to get your penalties called in the game, not around gameplay, but just do be warned, if you do change your penalties from these settings, the slider set may not work right. So make sure you put these in exactly as they are listed here, and make sure you watch the video to the end of the video, because I need to show you guys some in-game adjustments to make sure this plays right as well, because if you don't, you're going to get a ton of holding calls if we don't make the proper adjustments later on down the road. So just make sure you guys keep watching all the way through. All right, guys, let's scroll through the sliders, and I'll show you guys the sliders for both both the user and the CPU, and some cool smooth adjustments that you can make to kind of bring the game closer to your skill set or your preference. So quarterback accuracy for the user, I've got at 25. It is a little bit low, but the main goal here is, number one, if you are playing with Jackson Dart or Cam Ward or Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, man, you are going to feel it with those 70 overall quarterbacks. You're going to be missing throws. You're going to be throwing interceptions.
Certainly not what they were looking for there out of the opening play of this drive. Setting up to throw, Flacco. Oh, he tried to fit it in on the slant, and it's intercepted.
On the flip side, though, if you got a more elite quarterback, man, you can still make some really nice throws with the accuracy here. I've made some really nice throws, some free form, so it's a challenge there.
Sometimes the defensive guys just put you in awkward situations and you get caught grabbing their jerseys.
And this ball.
But just remember, if you do use a different passing style, you may need to make some tweaks here. For pass blocking for the user, I've got it at 50. I always say the pass blocking slider is the difficulty slider. If you want the game to be harder, lower your pass blocking. At 50, it's a little sus, like the CPU sometimes is in the backfield. So if you feel like it's a little bit too much, raise it in increments of 5 or 10, maybe put it up to 60 to give yourself some more time to throw, especially if you're struggling, and just getting tacked a ton, or you just, don't react as quickly, because, hey, I'm getting older too. I don't react as quick as I used to. So wide receiver catching, guys, I've got it 40, and we dropped it a little bit just to make aggressive catches not as overpowered. Receivers don't catch everything, kind of get rid of those sticky hands, but man, guys, the elites still make some insane and crazy catches.
Some heat on it, it helps have the big gun. In this case, just a little bit too much.
Play action. McCarthy. That's down the field for Jefferson. This is caught. On play action. Here's Tua.
So you guys will be really comfortable with it at 40. It's in a really nice spot. The run blocking is self-explanatory. In the EA football games, it's usually too hard for the user to run. I've got it at 0. You still are going to have a really good run game, but you got to think and you got to look for that hole. You got to find it. They've done a really good job with the latest patches, making sure that the user is running game is not too overpowered. For ball security, I've got it at 20. You're going to see fumbles here and there, but not too many. But we're finally starting to see them. I really had to drop this quite a bit to see fumbles drop regularly. Sometimes you'll fumble once, you might fumble twice, but it could go out of bounds. You could get it back and recover it, right? That's just kind of the way the ball bounces, and that's kind of the randomness of the NFL sometimes.
The football a ton in this ball game because of stalled out drives.
So are you saying that you're kind of tired of seeing the punter run out there and do this thing during this game? Is that what you're trying to say?
I've got the pass coverage at 100 on both reaction time and pass coverage. I know some people were saying these slides were reversed. I don't think they are. I've got them maxed out to give you a chance, man, because the user pass coverage and the recent Madden just hasn't been that great. It's a lot worse than it was at launch, and the pre-launch version that I played, they really made the pass coverage a lot worse. So I did what I can there.
At the 31-yard line. Gabriel looking to throw.
I've got interceptions at 35. You're going to catch a lot, but you're going to drop a lot too, because the CPU sometimes makes some dumb throws, and I don't really want to, penalize the CPU just for being not a real person. So I've got it at 35. You're still going to catch a lot of them, but every now and again you'll drop one that you feel maybe you should have caught. Feel free to, that's personal preference. You can put that wherever you want, but I didn't want to be picking the CPU off 3 times a game. I didn't want to punish the CPU because I made the CPU a lot more aggressive. I've got tackling at 40 to give the CPU a little bit of an advantage. The CPU does break tackles, you know, every now and again, but not as much as they used to. I'm on my old slider sets because they've made the running game much better. I had to raise this up a little bit actually. So it's the CPU still not a user. They don't juke and spin out in the open field the way we do, but it, you know, they, you know, can still, you know, make some guys miss with that 40.
First and 10, around to Robinson.
From the gun, it's Gabriel. Pass caught. He's got Tillman. He spins free. And they finally
field goal power at 50. I used to have this lower, but guys are kicking 80-yard field goals these days, so I've got the accuracy down low. Rarely miss, but there's a chance. I've got punt power at 65, give you some space to return some punts and have fun in the return game, and the punt accuracy was at 100. I wanted to do this to make the CPU not kick the ball out of bounds as much, but not gonna lie, they still kind of be kicking the ball out of bounds. So I did what I can there, but sometimes it helps the CPU be better, excuse me. Moving over to the CPU, we're gonna look at their quarterback accuracy. I've got it at 18. It's a great balance. You're gonna see some underthrows, overthrows.
Here's Mahomes to throw. And that will be...
Here he is on 3rd and short. And there's a man there. It's intercepted. That's Antoine Winfield Jr.
There, and you know you're going to need some big plays to get back into the game, but ultimately, you really can't force what isn't there.
So after the INT, here's Mahomes. That went out wide and intercepted. Derwin James with a pick. And the charge.
And then sometimes your better quarterbacks are going to light you up. I really like that there. If you are in a game and, you know, you're going to notice the difference between Patrick Mahomes and those 70 overall quarterbacks. And that's really what we were going for there. We want that overall and that talent to stand out. Pass blocking, I've got it 70 for the CPU. Now, I do think this is very strong. The CPU with the lower quarterback accuracy does take a little bit longer time to process the field sometimes, and they need a little bit more time to get their passes off. I'm still on average getting about 2 to 4 sacks a game, but if you feel like you're not getting enough of a pass rush, feel free to tweak this in increments of 5, 65, try 60. But I just didn't want to sack the CPU 7 times a game, so that's why I like it there. Wide receiver catching at 40. Again, your elites are still going to make crazy catches.
That'll matter remains to be seen. It's 1st and 10. Now gone. He lets this one fly toward the back of the end zone. And he's got it. It's caught for a touchdown.
But it just gets rid of that stickiness so that the CPU can't cheese first downs. And, you know, if you get a good solid lick on the receiver, they're probably going to drop the ball. The run blocking for the CPU, I've got it at 100. The running game is much better due to recent patches. Not really anything I did, but due to the recent patches, the CPU is actually running the ball with conviction. They're not taking those weird cuts that they used to, so I'm really enjoying that. Ball security, the CPU fumbles a little bit less than the user, so we drop that down to 10 as opposed to 20 that we have it for the user, and I still feel like they fumble a little bit less than the user, but if you get a really good lick on them, you can get that ball out of there.
Their defense held up and only gave up 3 points. The ball is free. Taylor lost it. And this is picked up by the Dolphins. And this is brought all the way back.
Pass coverage, I've got maxed out, and I've got the CPU interceptions at 50. So if you make bad passes, they're going to punish you and they're going to pick it off.
On play action, here's Tua. Double team and it's intercepted. And they will finally get him down.
On the guy right in front of you. If you don't, you saw the end result. Defensive tackle ended up making the play.
and two are going to be intercepted.
If you think it's a little bit too hard, or you find yourself throwing 3 interceptions a game, you can put that at 40 or 35, exactly where we've got it for the user. But I really wanted to challenge myself in my passing game. For the run defense, I've got the CPU tapping at 61. The CPU needs a little bit of help. Like, well, you know, we're users, we got our stick skills, we got our juice, we got our spin moves. We can really get active in the open field when the CPU can't.
As he'll punt it away for the second time. 180.
Drive starts with a carry by White. Through the 35, 20, 15.
This was supposed to be 60 and it was a typo, but I played all of my testing games at 61 by accident, and so it's staying at 61. All of the special team stuff is exactly the same. Let's look at visual feedback. I think all of this stuff is all of it is default. So I haven't done anything with auto subs on the console right now, so the graphics are under favorite performance. Next, we're gonna go into the game. I want to show you guys some of the coaching adjustments that you have to make the game play the right way. All right, guys, real quick, let's do our coaching adjustments in game. All you got to do is press R3 and it'll bring up this menu. We're on offense, and I only make one change here. That is for blocking. We have to change this to conservative. If you don't change this to conservative, you're gonna get a holding call in like every single play. So the set and the penalty sliders are balanced around this option being on conservative. For the pass protection, I have seen some people like base there, but that's personal preference for me. I usually do base or off, but yeah, that's the only thing that we're gonna be changing here. Now here on the defensive side of the ball, we're gonna do the same thing. Press R3 to open this menu up. But there's gonna be a little bit more things that we change. I'm going to be focusing primarily on the option defense. I really like to prefer to keep the ball from getting outside. You want to limit explosive plays. So for the option read, I like to play conservative to keep that quarterback inside. For the option pitch, I actually like to be aggressive to make the quarterback keep the ball so he can get some hits on the quarterback. For the RPO read key, I do the same thing, conservative to keep that quarterback inside. And for the RPO pass key, I put it on conservative to limit those bubble screens from taking off. Everything else here in this menu is default. All right, guys, and the very last thing I want to talk to you guys about in this video is house rules. And house rules are just a set of rules that I play with to tailor the game to my experience and my preferences. These are by no means mandatory, but I will say this. Whenever I post sliders and I find people have a different experience than what I am showing, I find it's because I play the game a little bit differently from the way that other people play. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm telling you have to play the game this way, but it's just I always provide this list so people understand how I play the game and why my experience are the way that they are, because these sliders are tailored to me and my style because I made the sliders, right? So a couple rules that I like to run that, you know, keep for me the game fair and balanced for myself and the CPU, who, let's face it, is a robot. It's not a real person. So I on defense play no switch. What that means is I pick a player and start of the play and do not switch. Taking that a step further, I always user a lineman. I know in the Madden community most people user linebackers or a safety. I always user the right end. One, because that's the position that I played when I played football, and two, because I find that leaving the secondary to be handled by the CPU makes their ratings show out a little bit more. That's personal preference. You don't have to do that. However, if you are kind of going to be cheesing with a linebacker or a middle linebacker, scanning and roaming, lurking that middle of the field, you may need to raise the CPU quarterback accuracy because you might be too good. You might make it impossible for the CPU to pass. I just don't really always feel like that's fair because you're playing a game, you can see way more of the field than you're probably supposed to be able to see. So that's why I pick a right end, stay at right end, and that's how I play the game. Another house rule that I have is halfback screens. I only can call 2 per game, 1 per half. I can call a halfback screen in the first half, call a halfback screen in the second half. I personally find that play is a guaranteed 25 yards. I think it's overpowered and has been for quite some time, so I do not abuse it. However, I do want to emphasize that I only call it once per half. So that's whether it's successful or not. Even if it's incomplete or even if I get hit in the backfield, you get one per half. I find that that's pretty accurate to the NFL, and that's where I keep it. That doesn't impact tight end screens, wide receiver screens, just those halfback slip screens that I find are really powerful. Another thing that I do personally is sometimes you'll see me decline defensive pass interference calls on the CPU. If you guys have ever seen, I really like to throw Hail Marys at halftime to, like, you know, just try to catch a Hail Mary. It's what players do. But sometimes you'll get a defensive pass interference that puts the ball in the one. I think that's cheese. That's not called in the NFL. They be tackling dudes in the end zone and Hail Marys. So I always decline those penalties because it's kind of cheese. I know the CPU wouldn't do it to you, but I do it to the CPU to not give myself you know, an unfair advantage. And one thing I wanted to point out, guys, is just the reality of the situation. People don't like it, but I gotta say it because it's just the truth. I rarely blitz. The blitz in Madden, the CPU just doesn't handle it well. They just don't react in time. I find that if I just call a mid blitz on every play of every game, you will win the game. You'll probably have 8 sacks. The CPU just doesn't handle the blitz that well. That's the one that really, I think, bothers a lot of people. And it does kind of suck. I wish the CPU would be more ready for hot routes. And actual NFL hot routes, not what we call a hot route in Madden, but your hot man is, you guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, the CPU just doesn't handle hot situations well, so I don't blitz that much. You'll see, like, you know, every now and again I'll do like a run blitz if I know it's like a 2nd and 1 or something like that, but I don't blitz too much because I know the CPU can't always handle it. But other than that, guys, please give these sliders a try. Let me know what you guys think. I gotta be honest, I've been away from YouTube for a minute and I'm not really back to my regular upload schedule, but it's good to talk to you guys, good to see you guys. Appreciate all the support on the channel while I've been gone, and I'm hoping that you know, in these coming months and weeks I'll be able to get back to my normal upload schedule. But other than that, guys, it's your boy Shady Mike. Thanks for rocking with me. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm signing out. Peace. Threes.